Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 1 day time frame for Bitcoin. And yes, the chart looks a little bit cluttered right now, but let's just go through this one element at a time. And then later on in the video, I'll get on to the lower time frames. First of all, most broadly speaking, we are simply in this range between about 107,000 and 89,000 in the Bitcoin price. And so long as we are not breaking above 107K or breaking below 89,000, Bitcoin is simply trading sideways on this 1 day time frame as far as I am concerned. Besides that, Bitcoin is in a downtrend on this 1 day time frame. Currently, this level of resistance is sitting at about 101.4K, but this does trend down over time. If we were to break this, we could be looking for a move up to this Fibonacci golden pocket, sitting between 102.8K and 103.5K. But for now, it's a little bit soon to be talking about that. So instead, let's take a look at the shorter term Fibonacci levels here. We should be expecting some short term resistance around this 98.4K level, and we should be expecting some short term support around this 95.6K level. Besides that, if I take a look at the RSI for Bitcoin, this is also in a downtrend for now, although we are potentially getting close to breaking out above that. In the case that we break out above this descending trend line in the RSI, potentially we could be getting a little bit more bullish, or at the very least that could be a first piece of confluence that we are ready to potentially head up to this descending line of resistance to from there potentially break it. So that's about everything on the 1 day time frame. Now coming to these lower time frames for Bitcoin, so the 4-hour time frame in this case. Earlier today, we saw some big volatility around the time of the announcement of the CPI data being reported. Now on this 4-hour time frame, it doesn't look that significant, but yes, on the lower time frames, this was a pretty serious drop that we saw here on a 15-minute candle. Either way, on the 4-hour time frame, technically Bitcoin is simply in a downtrend right now as well, potentially ready to break this, but as long as we are not breaking it, again, Bitcoin is simply in a downtrend, and we should be open to the possibility of more downside in the short term. Now, if we break above this descending trend line, which currently is sitting at 97.8K, once we break it with confirmed candle closes, potentially we could be looking for more upside from there. And as far as some short-term price targets go, we should take a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. For example, right now we have some liquidity to the upside sitting at 98.7K. Zooming out to this 2-week time frame, you can notice that we also have the biggest pocket of liquidity sitting at that same level, but there is some more liquidity to the upside as well at 100.8K, and then even more liquidity at 102.6K. Now in the short term, because we are still technically below this descending trend line as I'm recording this video at least, we should be taking into account the downside liquidity as well. For example, we have about $140 million worth of long positions sitting at 94,000. So of course, potentially that could be getting targeted, but we have taken out a decent amount of liquidity to the downside here earlier today, obviously on that big drop to the downside that we saw around the time of the announcement of the CPI news. And I'm very happy that I was able to cover this over the last couple of days, talk about that CPI, being ready for some big volatility around that time, telling you guys to be a little bit more cautious on high leverage. And, looking at this from earlier today, I'm happy that I was able to give those warning signals. Of course, nothing I say in these videos is financial advice, but typically I try to be a little bit more reserved than some of the other channels that you see on YouTube, being extremely bullish or extremely bearish. I just want to be objective in my analysis, whether it is bullish or bearish, and give you guys some warnings whenever I am expecting something like this to occur. Next, taking a look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables. Yesterday, we saw a small net outflow of about $56 million. So again, this is pretty neutral at this point. We've gotten used to these flows of hundreds of millions of dollars, sometimes even over $1 billion flowing in or out these Bitcoin ETFs. So therefore, a $50 million outflow, not too significant and not too much going on. And I think it also speaks to this range that we are currently in, where we are literally just grinding sideways here on these higher time frames. I do think if we were to break 107K with confirmed candle closes on this daily time frame, likely we're going to see some massive inflows as the Bitcoin ETF investors return and get excited about this market again. However, if we were to break down below 89,000 in the Bitcoin price. Notice how we do not have that much price action in this area here. So we could get a pretty sharp drop to the downside as people start to panic for a loss of this area of support, as well as the Bitcoin ETF investors potentially dumping a lot of Bitcoin that they accumulated over the last year or so. Now, this is not me fudding you guys, like telling you that the market is going to crash. As I said earlier in this video as well, I am simply objective in my analysis. For now, I don't see those warning signals just yet because we are simply holding above this 89K level, and therefore I don't see a need to be extremely bearish. I'm actually pretty neutral on the market for now because on this higher time frame we are just chopping sideways. And of course, whenever I see some new opportunities in the market in terms of some short-term pumps to the upside or to the downside, I will try to call them out ahead of time for you guys to make sure that you are always up to date with the markets. If you want to get access to my real-time analysis and my real-time trading signals, because of course I cannot be making multiple videos every day, but sometimes I do post multiple signals in a single day. In that case, I recommend joining the Road to 1 Million community on Discord, which you can do with the link in the video description. And of course, the public community is completely free to join. If you want to get access to my real-time analysis and trading signals, then simply go to this trading signals access channel right here. And you do have to follow these 3 steps in order to get access to my trading signals, although the cost in terms of dollars is also $0. Either way, if you do end up checking that out or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.